Hello, beautiful soul. I want you to know that you are so welcome here today. There's something special about this moment, isn't there? You've found your way to this message because deep in your heart, you know you deserve something more, something real, something that honors the magnificent being you truly are. Right now, as you're listening to these words, I want you to take a gentle breath with me. Feel your heart softening just a little. You see, so many wonderful women come to me carrying this same beautiful desire, the longing for genuine love, for a partner who truly sees them, appreciates them, and treats them with the respect and care they deserve. And sweet one, this desire isn't asking too much. It's actually asking for exactly what you were born to receive. But here's what I've learned after all these years of helping people transform their lives and relationships. The journey to attracting a quality man isn't really about changing yourself to become someone different. It's not about learning tricks or strategies to catch someone's attention. It's about returning home to yourself. It's about reconnecting with the precious, valuable, worthy woman you have always been, even when the world might have told you otherwise. You know, there's such a tender place in every woman's heart where she holds her dreams of love. Maybe you've been hurt before. Maybe you've given your heart to someone who didn't know how to treasure it. Maybe you've looked in the mirror and wondered if you're enough, if you're worthy of the kind of love you see in movies or read about in books. Oh, sweetheart, if that's you, you are not alone in this feeling. The beautiful truth is that your heart's desire for authentic love is actually your inner wisdom speaking to you. It's telling you that you were born for connection, for joy, for partnership with someone who celebrates you. But sometimes along the way, life experiences can make us forget our own preciousness. Sometimes we start believing that we need to be different, better, or more perfect to deserve love. And that, my dear, is where we lose our way. What I want to share with you today is going to feel different from what you might have heard before. We're not going to talk about how to change yourself to attract someone. We're not going to discuss tactics or games or ways to make yourself more appealing. Instead, we're going to explore the most magnetic, attractive quality any person can possess, and that is genuine self-worth. When you know deep in your bones that you are valuable and deserving of love, something magical happens in your energy. You begin to attract people who can recognize and appreciate that value. This isn't about becoming arrogant or thinking you're better than anyone else. True self-worth is actually very humble and peaceful. It's a quiet knowing that you matter, that your feelings matter, that your happiness matters. It's understanding that you bring something special to any relationship simply by being yourself. When you operate from this place, you naturally draw in people who are looking for exactly what you offer. I know it might feel scary to really believe this about yourself, especially if you've been disappointed before. Your heart might be a little guarded right now, and that's perfectly understandable. Trust takes time to rebuild, especially trust in yourself and in the possibility of love. But what if I told you that every experience you've had, even the painful ones, has been preparing you for something beautiful? What if those experiences were actually teaching you what you truly value, what you won't settle for, and what kind of love you're ready to receive? You see, when we've been hurt, we often think the answer is to protect ourselves by lowering our standards or accepting less than we deserve. We might think that having high standards makes us difficult or demanding, but the opposite is actually true. When you honor yourself by maintaining loving standards, you create space for someone who is capable of meeting you at that level. You give permission for healthy, mature love to enter your life. The journey we're taking together today is about remembering who you really are underneath any hurt, any doubt, any fear that might have accumulated over the years. It's about clearing away everything that isn't truly you so that your authentic light can shine brightly. And when that light shines, my dear, It becomes a beacon for someone who is looking for exactly what you offer. This work we're doing isn't just about attracting a partner, though that may be one beautiful result. This is about falling in love with your own life, about becoming your own best friend, about creating such a rich, fulfilling existence that you're sharing your happiness rather than seeking it from someone else. When you're living from this place of fullness, relationships become an expression of joy rather than a solution to emptiness. So as we begin this gentle exploration together, I want you to set an intention with me. Let's agree that whatever unfolds in these next moments, you'll treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a dear friend. Let's agree that you'll listen with an open heart, even to the parts that might feel challenging. And let's agree that you deserve every bit of the love you're dreaming of, starting with the love you give yourself. The path to attracting quality men truly begins with recognizing your own quality, your own worth, your own preciousness. And sweet one, you are so very precious. You always have been, even when you couldn't see it, even when others couldn't see it. Your worth was never in question, even for a moment. Today, we're simply going to help you remember what was always true about you. You are worthy of love, exactly as you are, right now. Let's explore how to let that truth transform everything. The foundation of attracting a quality man rests on one simple but profound truth that many of us have forgotten along the way. Your worth as a woman, as a human being, as a partner, isn't something you earn or prove or achieve. It's something you simply are. It's woven into the very fabric of your being, and no experience, no rejection, no disappointment can ever take it away from you. When we talk about self-worth in relationships, we're talking about the deep, unshakable knowing that you bring value to any connection simply by being yourself. This isn't about thinking you're perfect or that you have nothing to learn or grow into. It's about understanding that your feelings matter, your happiness matters, your peace of mind matters, and any man worth your time will recognize and honor these things about you. You see, there's a beautiful law of energy that governs all relationships. We attract people who match our internal beliefs about what we deserve. If deep down you believe you're not quite enough, you'll find yourself drawn to men who treat you as if you're not quite enough. If you believe you need to earn love through being perfect or agreeable or low maintenance, you'll attract men who expect you to earn their attention. But when you know in your heart and in your bones that you are inherently valuable, you begin to magnetize people who see and appreciate that value. This magnetic quality of self-worth works because it changes everything about how you show up in the world. When you know you're valuable, you move differently, you speak differently, you make choices differently. You don't chase or convince or try to prove yourself because you understand that the right person will recognize your worth without you having to demonstrate it. You don't settle for crumbs of attention because you know you deserve the whole meal. But here's where many of us get confused. We think self-worth means being demanding or difficult or having an endless list of requirements. True self-worth is actually very peaceful and graceful. It's knowing your value while still being open to love. It's having standards while still being approachable. It's being confident without being closed off. When you operate from genuine self-worth, you become more attractive, not less, because you're radiating the energy of someone who knows she's lovable. The truth is that quality men are looking for a woman who values herself. They want someone who has a life she loves, who knows her own mind, who can stand in her power while still being open to partnership. Men who are ready for real relationship aren't threatened by a woman's self-worth, they're attracted to it. They understand that a woman who loves herself is capable of loving them in a healthy, whole way. When you don't know your worth, relationships become about seeking validation rather than sharing love. You might find yourself constantly worried about whether he likes you, whether you're enough, whether you're doing something wrong. You might change yourself to fit what you think he wants. You might ignore your own needs to keep him happy. But these patterns actually push quality men away because they can sense the desperation underneath the pleasing. Quality men can feel the difference between a woman who is sharing her fullness and a woman who is trying to fill an emptiness. They can sense whether you're coming from love or from need. They can tell whether you're choosing them because you genuinely enjoy their company or because you're afraid of being alone. This isn't something they think about consciously, but they feel it energetically, and it affects how they respond to you. When you know your worth, dating becomes a completely different experience. Instead of trying to prove yourself worthy of love, you're evaluating whether someone is worthy of your love. Instead of hoping they'll choose you, you're deciding whether you want to choose them. This shift in perspective changes everything about the energy you bring to relationships. Your past experiences have probably taught you some things about what you value in a partner and what you won't tolerate. Maybe you've learned that you need someone who communicates clearly. Maybe you've discovered that trust is non-negotiable for you. Maybe you've realized that you want someone who supports your dreams rather than someone who makes you feel small. These insights are gifts, even if they came through difficult experiences. The beautiful thing about self-worth is that it grows stronger with practice. Every time you choose to honor your feelings, every time you speak up for yourself, every time you say no to something that doesn't feel right, you're building your worth muscle. Every time you treat yourself with kindness, every time you celebrate your accomplishments, every time you forgive yourself for being human, you're reinforcing the truth of your value. This foundation of self-worth becomes the energy that precedes you into every interaction with men. Before you even speak, before you even smile, they can feel whether you know your value or whether you're seeking their approval to feel valuable. This energy determines whether they approach you with respect or with casual interest. It influences whether they see you as someone to treasure or someone to entertain themselves with temporarily. Building this foundation isn't about becoming hard or closed off. It's about becoming solid in your own love for yourself so that you can love others from a place of strength rather than need. When you're grounded in your worth, you can be vulnerable without being desperate, open without being naive, loving without being clingy. You become irresistible not because you're trying to be, but because you're authentically, confidently, lovingly yourself. Understanding why quality men are attracted to self-worth opens the door to recognizing what might be blocking this natural magnetism in your own life. Most of us, through no fault of our own, have picked up some beliefs and patterns along the way that work against our natural worth and actually repel the very love we're seeking. One of the most common blocks to attracting quality men is the deep, often unconscious belief that you're not enough exactly as you are. This belief might whisper that you need to be prettier, smarter, more successful, more fun, or more agreeable to deserve love. When this belief is running your relationship choices, you end up trying to become what you think each man wants instead of showing up as yourself. But here's what happens energetically when you do this. You're essentially telling the universe that the real you isn't lovable, so you attract men who agree with that assessment. Another pattern that blocks authentic love is the tendency to give too much, too soon, in hopes of earning affection. This might look like always being available, always saying yes, always putting his needs before your own, or always being the one to reach out. While generosity in relationships is beautiful, when it comes from a place of proving your worth rather than expressing your love, it creates an imbalanced dynamic that quality men can sense. They might enjoy the attention temporarily, but they won't respect it long-term because they can feel the desperation underneath the giving. Many women also struggle with the pattern of being attracted to men who are unavailable, whether emotionally, physically, or in terms of commitment. This pattern often stems from a belief that love should be difficult, that you have to chase or convince someone to love you, or that easy love isn't real love. When you find yourself repeatedly drawn to men who keep you guessing, who blow hot and cold, or who can't give you what you need, it's usually because there's a part of you that believes you don't deserve better, or that struggle equals passion. The fear of being alone can also create blocks in attracting quality relationships. When you're desperate to be in any relationship rather than waiting for the right relationship, you send out energy that attracts men who can sense your desperation. They might take advantage of your fear of being alone by offering you just enough attention to keep you hoping, but never enough to feel secure. Quality men, on the other hand, are attracted to women who are content with their own company because it signals that they're choosing to be with them, not settling for them. Another common block is the belief that having standards or boundaries makes you difficult or demanding. Many women have been taught that they should be grateful for any attention they receive and that asking for what they need is selfish. This conditioning leads to accepting behavior that doesn't feel good, ignoring red flags, and staying in situations that drain your energy. When you operate from this place, you attract men who are looking for someone who won't challenge them or hold them accountable, rather than men who are looking for an equal partner. The pattern of seeking external validation can also repel quality men. When your mood depends on how much attention he gives you, when you're constantly checking your phone for his messages, when you analyze every interaction for signs of his interest, you're giving your power away to someone else. This creates an energy of neediness that pushes emotionally healthy men away because they can sense that you're looking to them to make you feel valuable rather than sharing your existing sense of value with them. Past hurts can also create blocks, especially when they haven't been fully healed. If you've been betrayed, abandoned, or treated poorly in previous relationships, you might unconsciously protect yourself by choosing men who can't really hurt you because they're not capable of real intimacy anyway. Or you might test every new man by expecting him to prove he's different, which creates a dynamic of distrust that prevents genuine connection from forming. The comparison trap is another pattern that blocks authentic attraction. When you're constantly measuring yourself against other women, wondering why certain women seem to have it easier in love, or believing that there's some secret formula you're missing, you're focusing on lack rather than abundance. This energy of comparison and inadequacy is felt by others and can make you seem insecure rather than confident. Sometimes women also block quality love by being unclear about what they actually want. When you're so focused on being chosen that you forget to think about what kind of partner would actually make you happy, you might attract men who look good on paper but don't truly complement your life. Quality men are attracted to women who know themselves well enough to know what they want and need in a relationship. The people-pleasing pattern is particularly challenging because it often feels like kindness, but actually comes from fear. When you're constantly worried about making him happy, avoiding conflict, or being what you think he wants, you're not allowing him to know the real you. And if he falls for the people-pleasing version of you, what happens when you inevitably get tired of that role? Quality men want to know who you really are, including your opinions, your boundaries, and your authentic personality. All of these patterns have one thing in common. They come from a place of not trusting that you're lovable exactly as you are. They're strategies for trying to control love rather than allowing love. But the beautiful truth is that once you recognize these patterns, you can begin to change them. Every time you catch yourself in one of these old ways of being, you have an opportunity to choose differently, to respond from your worth rather than your wounds. This is how you clear the path for the kind of love that honors and celebrates the magnificent woman you truly are. The journey back to loving yourself isn't always easy, but it's the most important relationship work you'll ever do. You see, somewhere along the way, many of us learn to be our own worst critic instead of our own best friend. We learn to focus on what's wrong with us instead of what's beautiful about us. We learn to treat ourselves with a harshness we would never dream of showing to someone we love. But sweet one, this can change. The relationship you have with yourself can be healed, and when it is, everything else in your life transforms. Self-love isn't about thinking you're perfect or that you never need to grow. It's about extending to yourself the same compassion, understanding, and forgiveness that you would offer to a dear friend going through a difficult time. It's about speaking to yourself with kindness instead of criticism. It's about honoring your feelings instead of dismissing them. It's about treating your body, your mind, and your spirit with the care they deserve. The first step in healing your relationship with yourself is becoming aware of how you've been treating yourself. Most of us have developed such a habit of self-criticism that we don't even notice it anymore. We might wake up in the morning and immediately start a mental list of everything we need to fix about ourselves. We might look in the mirror and focus only on what we don't like. We might replay conversations and criticize ourselves for what we said or didn't say. This constant self-attack creates an environment inside us that's hostile to love, both self-love and love from others. What if, instead of waking up and immediately going to what's wrong, you started your day by acknowledging something that's right about you? What if, instead of criticizing your reflection, you found one thing to appreciate about the woman looking back at you? What if, instead of replaying your mistakes, you celebrated the courage it took to put yourself out there in the first place? These small shifts in how you treat yourself create ripples that affect every area of your life. The old stories you tell yourself about your worthiness need to be examined with loving eyes. Maybe you've been carrying around a story that you're too sensitive, too emotional, too much in some way. Maybe you've been telling yourself that you're not attractive enough, successful enough, or interesting enough to deserve great love. Maybe you've believed that because certain relationships didn't work out, there's something fundamentally wrong with you. These stories, sweetheart, are not the truth about you. They're just thoughts you've been thinking for so long that they feel true. You have the power to write new stories about yourself. Stories that honor your journey and celebrate your growth. Instead of, I'm too sensitive, you might choose, I feel deeply, and that's a gift. Instead of, I'm not attractive enough, you might affirm, I am beautiful in my own unique way. Instead of, there's something wrong with me, you might embrace, I am learning and growing, and that makes me lovable. Creating a loving internal dialogue is like learning a new language, the language of self-compassion. When you catch yourself being harsh or critical, you can gently interrupt that voice and choose a kinder response. If you make a mistake, instead of calling yourself stupid, you might say, I'm human, and making mistakes is how I learn. If you're feeling insecure, instead of listing all your flaws, you might remind yourself, I'm doing the best I can, and that's enough. This healing work often brings up emotions that have been stored in your body for years. You might feel sad about how harshly you've treated yourself. You might feel angry about the messages you received that made you believe you weren't enough. You might feel scared about opening your heart again after it's been hurt. All of these feelings are welcome and normal and part of the healing process. Let them move through you with compassion for yourself. Forgiveness becomes essential on this journey, especially forgiveness of yourself. You might need to forgive yourself for staying in relationships that weren't good for you. You might need to forgive yourself for not knowing then what you know now. You might need to forgive yourself for all the ways you haven't been your own best friend. This forgiveness isn't about excusing past choices. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of self-judgment so you can move forward with love. The practice of self-love also means learning to enjoy your own company. When you're comfortable being alone with yourself, when you can entertain yourself, comfort yourself, and find joy in your own presence, you become magnetic to others. You're no longer coming from a place of neediness or desperation. You're sharing your fullness rather than seeking someone to fill your emptiness. This might mean rediscovering hobbies that bring you joy, creating rituals that nurture your spirit, or simply learning to appreciate quiet moments with yourself. It might mean taking yourself on dates, buying yourself flowers, or celebrating your own accomplishments. When you become someone you enjoy being with, others will enjoy being with you too. The relationship with yourself sets the template for all other relationships in your life. If you don't respect yourself, you'll attract people who don't respect you. If you don't honor your own needs, you'll draw in people who ignore your needs. If you don't believe you're worthy of love, you'll magnetize people who agree with that assessment. But when you heal your relationship with yourself, when you become your own loving partner, you create space for someone else to love you in that same honoring way. This healing isn't something that happens overnight. It's a daily practice, a moment-by-moment choice to treat yourself with love instead of judgment. Some days will be easier than others. Some days you'll catch yourself being harsh and be able to shift quickly to kindness. Other days, the old patterns might feel stronger, and that's okay too. Healing isn't linear, and every step forward, even the small ones, matters. As you continue on this journey of self-healing, remember that you're not trying to become someone different. You're simply removing the layers of criticism, judgment, and harsh treatment that have been covering up the beautiful woman you've always been. Underneath all the self-doubt and self-attack is a precious, lovable, worthy being who deserves all the love her heart can hold. The more you can see her, appreciate her, and care for her, the more others will see her too. When you truly understand the power of boundaries and standards in relationships, everything changes about how you attract and relate to men. Boundaries aren't walls that keep love out. They're loving guidelines that let healthy love in while keeping harmful energy out. Standards aren't demands that make you difficult. They're expressions of self-respect that actually make you more attractive to quality men. Many women fear that having boundaries will push men away, but the opposite is actually true. Quality men are attracted to women who know their worth well enough to protect it. They respect women who have clear expectations about how they want to be treated. They're drawn to women who can say no to what doesn't feel good because it means their yes is genuine and valuable. Think about it this way. If someone is put off by your boundaries, they were probably planning to cross them anyway. The men who are annoyed by your standards are usually the ones who don't want to meet them. But the man who is right for you will appreciate that you know yourself well enough to know what you need to feel safe, loved, and respected in a relationship. Healthy boundaries come from love, not fear. When you set a boundary from love, you're saying, I care about myself and I care about us, so I'm going to speak up about what I need to show up as my best self in this relationship. When boundaries come from fear, they sound more like, I'm going to control everything about this situation so I don't get hurt. The energy behind your boundaries matters just as much as the boundaries themselves. Setting standards doesn't mean having an endless list of requirements or being impossible to please. It means being clear about the core values and behaviors that are important to you in a relationship. Maybe honesty is non-negotiable for you. Maybe you need someone who communicates regularly and clearly. Maybe you want a partner who shares your vision for the future. These aren't unreasonable demands. They're expressions of knowing what you need to be happy. The beautiful thing about having standards is that they actually make dating easier, not harder. When you know what you're looking for, you can quickly identify whether someone is a good match. You don't waste time trying to make something work with someone who fundamentally can't give you what you need. You don't exhaust yourself trying to change someone into the partner you want them to be. When you honor your own needs by maintaining loving boundaries and standards, something magical happens energetically. You start radiating the confidence that comes from self-respect. You become attractive in a way that has nothing to do with your appearance and everything to do with your energy. Men can sense when a woman values herself, and that quality is magnetic to those who are looking for a real partnership. The energy shift that happens when you honor your own needs is profound. Instead of being anxious about whether he likes you, you become curious about whether you like him. Instead of worrying about doing something wrong, you focus on whether the connection feels right. Instead of trying to be what you think he wants, you show up as yourself and let him decide if that's what he's looking for. This doesn't mean becoming cold or closed off. You can be warm, loving, and open while still maintaining your boundaries. You can be flexible and understanding while still holding your standards. The key is that your boundaries and standards come from a place of love for yourself and love for the relationship, not from a place of fear or control. Sometimes women worry that they've been too giving in the past, and now they need to swing all the way to the other extreme and become demanding or difficult. But that's not what healthy boundaries look like. Healthy boundaries are clear, consistent, and kind. They're about creating a safe space for authentic love to grow, not about testing or punishing someone. Your boundaries might include things like needing regular communication, expecting to be treated with respect, wanting to take physical intimacy at a pace that feels comfortable, or requiring honesty and transparency. Your standards might include wanting someone who shares your values, someone who treats others kindly, someone who has their life together in the areas that matter to you, or someone who can commit to building something real together. The men who are right for you will not only respect these boundaries and standards, they'll appreciate them. They'll be grateful that you've made it easy for them to know how to love you well. They'll value that you care enough about the relationship to speak up about what you need. They'll see your standards as a sign that you take relationships seriously, not as obstacles to overcome. When you don't have boundaries, relationships become confusing and exhausting. You might find yourself constantly wondering where you stand, accepting behavior that doesn't feel good, or giving more than you're receiving. When you don't have standards, you might settle for connections that look good on the surface but don't truly fulfill you. But when you know what you need and you're willing to ask for it lovingly, you create the foundation for a relationship that can actually make you happy. Remember, the goal isn't to find just any man. It's to find the right man for you. And the right man for you will be someone who naturally wants to meet your standards and respect your boundaries because he values you and wants the relationship to work. When you honor yourself by maintaining loving guidelines for how you want to be treated, you make space for someone who wants to treat you that way. Transforming your inner landscape is where the real magic happens. This is where you actively build the foundation of self-worth that will attract and sustain the kind of love you're dreaming of. It's not enough to just understand these concepts intellectually. You need practices that help you embody them, that make them part of who you are at the deepest level. One of the most powerful practices for building genuine self-worth is what I call mirror work. This might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've been avoiding really looking at yourself or if you've been critical of your reflection for years. But the mirror doesn't lie, and it can become your greatest teacher in learning to love yourself. Start simple with your mirror work. Look into your own eyes, those beautiful windows to your soul, and say, I see you and you matter. It might feel silly or strange at first, and that's perfectly normal. You're creating a new habit of treating yourself with love instead of criticism. You might want to cry, and that's okay too. You might have a voice in your head that argues with what you're saying, and that's just the old programming trying to keep you small. As you get more comfortable with mirror work, you can expand what you say to yourself. You might look in the mirror and acknowledge something you appreciate about yourself that day. Maybe you were kind to someone. Maybe you handled a difficult situation with grace. Maybe you simply showed up and did your best. These moments of self-acknowledgement build the muscle of self-appreciation. You can also use the mirror to practice affirmations that specifically address your worth in relationships. Look into your own eyes and say things like, I am worthy of love exactly as I am, or I deserve a partner who sees my value, or I am enough right now in this moment. The key is to say these things while looking at yourself, while connecting with the real person behind the words. Daily appreciation practices are another way to transform your inner landscape. Instead of keeping a mental list of everything you did wrong each day, start keeping track of what you did right. Maybe you spoke up for yourself in a situation. Maybe you chose to rest when you needed it. Maybe you ate something nourishing or moved your body in a way that felt good. These small acknowledgments train your mind to notice your own goodness. You can also practice appreciating your body as the amazing vessel that carries you through life. Instead of focusing on what you wish was different about your physical self, try acknowledging what your body does for you each day. Your hands that create and comfort, your legs that carry you where you want to go, your heart that beats faithfully without you having to think about it. When you develop appreciation for your body, you naturally start taking better care of it, and that care shows up as confidence and vitality. Journaling can be a powerful tool for transforming your relationship with yourself. You might write letters to yourself from the perspective of a loving friend, offering yourself the encouragement and compassion you would give to someone you care about. You might write about your dreams and goals, not to put pressure on yourself, but to honor the desires of your heart. You might write about what you're grateful for in your life, including gratitude for yourself and your journey. Creating rituals that honor yourself helps build the practice of self-love into your daily life. This might be as simple as making your morning coffee with intention and gratitude, taking a few minutes each evening to appreciate the day, or having a weekly date with yourself doing something you enjoy. These rituals send a message to your subconscious mind that you are valuable and worth caring for. The practice of speaking to yourself with kindness needs to become automatic, but it takes time to replace old habits of self-criticism. When you catch yourself being harsh, you can gently interrupt that voice and choose a kinder response. If you make a mistake, instead of attacking yourself, you might say, I'm learning, and that's beautiful. If you're having a difficult day, instead of judging yourself for struggling, you might offer yourself comfort. This is hard right now, and I'm going to be gentle with myself. Meditation and quiet reflection help you connect with the peaceful, loving part of yourself that exists underneath all the mental chatter and self-doubt. Even just a few minutes each day of sitting quietly and breathing deeply can help you remember who you really are beneath all the stories and fears. In these quiet moments, you can feel your own worth without having to prove it or defend it. Physical practices that make you feel strong and capable also contribute to building self-worth. This might be yoga, dancing, walking in nature, or any movement that helps you feel connected to your body in a positive way. When you feel physically strong and capable, it's easier to believe in your worth in other areas of life too. The practice of celebrating yourself is especially important if you tend to minimize your accomplishments or brush off compliments. Start acknowledging your successes, both big and small. Finished a project at work? Celebrate that. Had a difficult conversation with grace? Acknowledge that courage. Chose to prioritize your well-being? Honor that wisdom. When you make celebrating yourself a regular practice, you train your mind to see your own value. All of these practices work together to create a new internal environment, one where you are safe, valued, and loved. As this inner landscape transforms, your outer world begins to reflect these changes. You start attracting people who treat you the way you treat yourself. You begin making choices from love rather than fear. You create a life that feels like a true expression of who you are. The beautiful thing about these practices is that they don't require anyone else to change or behave differently. You have complete control over how you treat yourself, how you speak to yourself, and how you care for yourself. And as you become more loving toward yourself, you naturally become more attractive to others who are capable of love. This is how you transform not just your relationship with yourself, but your capacity to receive and share love with another person. Learning to receive love is one of the most beautiful and challenging arts in relationships. Many of us have become so good at giving, at nurturing, at taking care of others, that we've forgotten how to gracefully accept love when it's offered to us. We might deflect compliments, minimize gestures of care, or feel uncomfortable when someone wants to do something nice for us. But sweet one, your ability to receive love is just as important as your ability to give it. Receiving love requires a kind of vulnerability that can feel scary, especially if you've been hurt before. When someone offers you genuine care, attention, or affection, you have to open your heart enough to let it in. You have to trust that you deserve what's being offered. You have to believe that the person giving to you isn't going to use that gift against you later, or withdraw it suddenly, leaving you feeling foolish for having accepted it. The fear of vulnerability often keeps us from receiving love fully. We might think that if we let someone care for us, we're giving them power to hurt us. We might worry that if we accept their love, we'll become dependent on it and be devastated if it goes away. We might believe that receiving makes us weak or needy or too much trouble. But the truth is that healthy receiving actually strengthens relationships and creates deeper intimacy. When you can gracefully receive a man's attention, affection, and care, you're giving him the gift of being able to express his love. Men often show love through actions, through wanting to help, through offering their time and energy. When you constantly insist that you don't need anything, that you can handle everything yourself, or that you don't want to be any trouble, you might be blocking his natural desire to contribute to your happiness. This doesn't mean becoming helpless or demanding constant attention. It means being open to accepting genuine offers of care and letting someone know when their gestures of love land well with you. It means saying yes when he wants to carry something heavy for you, expressing gratitude when he remembers something important to you, or letting him comfort you when you're having a difficult day. The art of receiving also means being open to compliments and positive feedback. If you've been in the habit of deflecting praise or arguing with kind words, you might not realize how this affects the person trying to appreciate you. When someone tells you you're beautiful and you respond with all the reasons you're not, you're essentially telling them their perception is wrong. When someone compliments your accomplishments and you minimize them, you're dismissing their attempt to celebrate you. Instead, you can practice simply saying thank you when someone offers you appreciation. You don't have to agree with everything they say or feel completely comfortable with the compliment, but you can receive it graciously. You can let their kind words land in your heart instead of bouncing them back immediately. Over time, this practice helps you internalize the loving messages that others see in you. Creating space for healthy masculine energy means understanding that quality men often express love through wanting to contribute, protect, and provide in some way. This isn't about old-fashioned gender roles or becoming dependent. It's about recognizing that when a man cares about you, he often wants to add value to your life in tangible ways. When you're constantly proving that you don't need anything from anyone, you might be blocking this natural expression of love. You can receive his desire to contribute while still maintaining your independence and strength. You can appreciate his protective instincts without becoming helpless. You can allow him to provide for you in ways that feel good without losing your own ability to provide for yourself. The key is finding the balance between being capable and being open to partnership. The healing work around receiving often involves looking at early messages you received about being worthy of care. Maybe you learned that you had to earn love through being perfect or helpful. Maybe you were taught that needing anything from others was a sign of weakness. Maybe you experienced care being withdrawn when you weren't good enough, so you learned to protect yourself by not needing anything at all. These old protections might have served you at one time, but they can block intimate connection in adult relationships. A quality man wants to feel needed and valued, not just tolerated or accepted. He wants to know that his presence in your life adds something meaningful, that his care and attention matter to you. When you can receive his love gracefully, you're actually giving him the gift of feeling valuable to you. Learning to receive also means being willing to express your needs clearly and directly. Many women hint at what they need or hope their partner will just figure it out, but then feel disappointed when their needs aren't met. Quality men appreciate directness and honesty about what would make you happy. They want to get it right, but they need information to do that successfully. This might mean saying, "I would love it if you could hold me for a few minutes when you need comfort." It might mean expressing, "It would mean a lot to me if you could remember my presentation tomorrow when you want support." It might mean sharing, "I feel so loved when you surprise me with little thoughtful gestures, so he knows what lands well with you." This kind of clear communication makes it easier for him to love you in ways that actually reach your heart. The practice of receiving love also extends to how you treat yourself. If you can't receive your own kindness and care, it's difficult to receive it from others. When you start treating yourself well, speaking to yourself kindly, and taking care of your own needs, you naturally become more open to receiving care from a partner. You understand that being loved and cared for is natural and good, not something to feel guilty about. As you practice the art of receiving, you might notice that it becomes easier to give love too. When you're not constantly depleted from giving without receiving, when you're allowing yourself to be nourished by another person's care, you have more energy and joy to offer back. Relationships become a beautiful exchange of giving and receiving, rather than one person doing all the giving while the other does all the taking. Remember, sweet one, you were born worthy of love, care, and attention. You don't have to earn these things through being perfect or low maintenance. You don't have to prove your worth by never needing anything. The right man for you will want to love you, care for you, and contribute to your happiness. Your job is to let him. When you truly understand your worth and begin to live from that place, something magical happens to your energy. You become magnetic in a way that has nothing to do with manipulation or pretense, and everything to do with authenticity. This magnetism isn't something you have to work at or think about. It's a natural result of knowing and honoring your own value. The energy of self-worth is unmistakable. It's confident without being arrogant, strong without being hard, open without being needy. When you carry yourself with the quiet knowledge that you are valuable, People feel it before you even speak. This energy communicates that you know you bring something special to any interaction, any relationship, any room you enter. Quality men are particularly drawn to this energy because it signals emotional health and maturity. They can sense that you're not looking to them to fix you, complete you, or validate your existence. Instead, you're inviting them to share in the fullness you've already created in your own life. This is incredibly attractive because it means a relationship with you would add joy to their life rather than creating stress or drama. When you're operating from genuine self-worth, you naturally create what I call magnetic availability. You're open to love without being desperate for it. You're interested in connection without being clingy about it. You're warm and approachable without being available to just anyone. This combination creates an energy that draws quality people towards you while naturally repelling those who aren't ready for real relationship. Being whole and complete as a single person is perhaps the most attractive quality you can possess. This doesn't mean you don't want partnership or that you're perfectly content being alone forever. It means you've created a life you love, you enjoy your own company, and you're choosing to share your happiness rather than seeking someone to create it for you. When you're whole on your own, you bring a different energy to dating and relationships. You're not anxiously waiting for someone to rescue you from loneliness or boredom. You're not settling for poor treatment because you're afraid of being alone. You're not trying to convince someone to love you because you already know you're lovable. This groundedness is magnetic because it's so rare and so peaceful. The energy of abundance versus lack shows up in countless ways in how you relate to men. When you're operating from abundance, you believe there are many wonderful men in the world and that you deserve to find one who truly appreciates you. When you're operating from lack, you might hold on to connections that aren't serving you because you're afraid you won't find anything better. Abundance energy is generous and trusting. You can be happy for other women when they find love because you know there's plenty to go around. You can walk away from situations that don't feel right because you trust that something better is available. You can take your time getting to know someone because you're not in a hurry to lock down any relationship out of fear. This abundant mindset affects every aspect of how you show up in the dating world. You're not chasing or convincing because you know the right person will be glad to find you. You're not jealous or possessive because you trust in your own value and appeal. You're not playing games or using strategies because you know authentic connection is what creates lasting love. The magnetism of self-worth also shows up in how you handle challenges and difficulties. When something goes wrong in your life, when you face disappointments or setbacks, you don't fall apart or become a victim. You handle whatever comes with grace and resilience, and you reach out for support when you need it. This emotional stability is incredibly attractive to mature men who are looking for a true partner. Your energy also communicates your standards and boundaries without you having to announce them constantly. When you know your worth, you naturally carry yourself in a way that commands respect. You don't accept poor treatment because it feels foreign to your system. You don't chase after unavailable men because your energy is focused on availability and connection. You don't settle for crumbs because you know you deserve the whole meal. This magnetic energy isn't something you can fake or force. It comes from genuine inner work, from really learning to love and value yourself. It develops through the practices we've been talking about, through treating yourself well, through setting boundaries, through healing old wounds. As you do this work consistently, the energy shift becomes natural and effortless. The beautiful thing about operating from this place of magnetic self-worth is that it makes dating and relationships so much easier and more enjoyable. You're not constantly worried about whether someone likes you because you like yourself. You're not analyzing every interaction for signs of interest because you're focused on whether you're interested. You're not trying to be someone you're not because you know who you are is valuable. Men often describe this quality in women as having something special or being different from other women. But what they're really sensing is authenticity combined with self-love. They're feeling the presence of someone who knows her worth and isn't afraid to show up as herself. This combination is rare and precious, and it draws the right kind of attention from the right kind of men. As you embody this energy more fully, you'll notice that your interactions with men become more natural and flowing. Conversations feel easier because you're not performing or trying to impress. Dating becomes more enjoyable because you're actually getting to know people instead of trying to get them to like you. Relationships deepen more quickly because there's no pretense blocking genuine connection. This is the energy that creates lasting love, sweet one. Not the energy of need or desperation or performance, but the energy of wholeness, authenticity, and quiet confidence in your own worth. This is what draws a quality man, not just to notice you, but to want to build something real and lasting with you. Living your worth in daily life is where all of this beautiful inner work gets translated into real, tangible changes in how you move through the world. It's one thing to understand these concepts and feel inspired by them. It's another thing entirely to embody them in your everyday choices, responses, and interactions. This is where the transformation becomes real and lasting. Every single day presents you with opportunities to honor your worth or to dishonor it. Every interaction with men, whether it's a first date, a conversation with a colleague, or an encounter with a stranger, is a chance to practice showing up as the valuable woman you are. These moments might seem small, but they're actually building the foundation of how you'll be treated in all your relationships. When you're on a date, honoring your worth might look like speaking honestly about your interests, instead of trying to mirror his preferences. It might mean suggesting an activity you'd actually enjoy, instead of just going along with whatever he suggests. It might mean expressing your opinion when you disagree instead of staying quiet to avoid conflict. These authentic responses help him get to know the real you while showing him that you value your own thoughts and feelings. If a man is consistently late to dates or frequently cancels plans, responding from your worth means addressing this directly rather than making excuses for him or pretending it doesn't bother you. You might say something like, "I value our time together, and when plans change frequently, it's hard for me to feel prioritized. Can we talk about how to handle scheduling going forward?" This response honors your feelings while giving him a chance to step up. In your communication with men, whether through text, phone calls, or in person, responding from your worth means being genuine rather than strategic. Instead of calculating how long to wait before responding to his message, you respond when it feels natural to you. Instead of trying to sound cool or unavailable, you express warmth when you feel it. Instead of playing hard to get, you let him know when you enjoy his company. When it comes to physical intimacy, honoring your worth means moving at a pace that feels right for you, regardless of any pressure or expectations. It means communicating your boundaries clearly and kindly, and it means not compromising your comfort level to keep someone interested. A man who truly values you will respect your pace and appreciate your honesty about what feels good to you. Building confidence through authentic self-expression is a daily practice. This might mean wearing clothes that make you feel beautiful instead of trying to dress like someone else. It might mean pursuing hobbies and interests that genuinely excite you, instead of only doing things you think will make you more attractive to men. It might mean speaking up in group conversations instead of staying quiet out of fear of saying something wrong. The practice of authentic self-expression also extends to how you handle difficult emotions in relationships. Instead of pretending everything is fine when you're hurt or confused, you can learn to express your feelings in a way that honors both yourself and the relationship. You might say, "I felt disconnected when we didn't talk for 3 days. Can we find a communication rhythm that works for both of us?" Confidence also comes from taking excellent care of yourself in all areas of your life. When you're eating foods that nourish you, moving your body in ways that feel good, getting enough rest, and engaging in activities that feed your soul, you naturally feel better about yourself. This self-care isn't selfish. It's essential for maintaining the energy and vitality that make you attractive to others. Creating a life that feels fulfilling and meaningful to you is one of the most attractive things you can do. When you have friendships that nourish you, work that engages you, hobbies that excite you, and goals that inspire you, you become a more interesting and vibrant person. You also become less dependent on romantic relationships to provide all your happiness and fulfillment. The way you handle money can also be an expression of your worth. This might mean not accepting expensive gifts from men you barely know because it feels uncomfortable. Or it might mean not splitting every check down to the penny because you can afford to be generous sometimes. It means making financial decisions based on your values rather than on fear or the desire to impress someone. Your social media presence, if you choose to have one, can also reflect your worth. Instead of posting only photos that you think will get the most likes, you might share images that represent your authentic life and interests. Instead of crafting posts designed to make someone jealous or to get attention, you might share content that feels genuine and true to who you are. The way you respond to disrespectful behavior is crucial for maintaining your worth in relationships. If someone speaks to you rudely, shows up intoxicated to a date, or makes inappropriate comments, your response sets the tone for how they'll treat you going forward. You don't have to be harsh or dramatic, but you do need to address behavior that doesn't feel good to you. Setting boundaries around your time and energy is another daily practice of honoring your worth. This might mean not being available for last-minute dates if you prefer to plan ahead. It might mean ending phone conversations when they've gone on longer than feels good to you. It might mean not being the one who always initiates contact or makes all the effort in the relationship. Remember, every single choice you make is either reinforcing your worth or undermining it. When you consistently choose to honor yourself through your words, actions, and responses, you create a powerful pattern that affects how others see and treat you. You become someone who clearly values herself, and that clarity makes it easy for the right person to value you too. This daily practice of living your worth isn't about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about catching yourself when you slip into old patterns and gently choosing differently. It's about treating each day as an opportunity to love yourself a little better and to show up a little more authentically. And as you do this consistently, you'll notice that your entire experience of dating and relationships begins to transform. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want to paint a picture for you of what's possible when you truly embrace your worth and let it guide your journey toward love. The future that awaits you is more beautiful than you might even dare to hope for right now. It's a future where love feels natural and easy, where you're celebrated for who you truly are, where partnership enhances the beautiful life you've already created for yourself. In this future, you wake up each morning with a deep sense of contentment about who you are. You look in the mirror and see a woman who is worthy of love, not because she's perfect, but because she's beautifully, authentically herself. You move through your days with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing your value doesn't depend on anyone else's opinion or validation. The man who comes into your life in this future is someone who recognizes your worth immediately. He doesn't need to be convinced of your value because it's evident in how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you treat yourself and others. He feels grateful to have found you, not superior to have been chosen by you. He sees loving you as a privilege, not a burden or a favor he's doing for you. In this relationship, communication flows naturally because you both feel safe to be honest. You can express your needs without fear of being seen as demanding. You can share your feelings without worry that they're too much. You can be vulnerable without the terror that your openness will be used against you. This safety isn't something you have to create by being perfect. It exists because you've chosen someone who values emotional intimacy and genuine connection. The love you experience in this future relationship feels easy and natural, not because there are never any challenges, but because you're both committed to working through difficulties with love and respect. When conflicts arise, they're handled with care for each other's feelings. When stress comes from outside the relationship, you support each other rather than taking it out on each other. This man delights in your happiness and actively looks for ways to contribute to your joy. He pays attention to what matters to you, remembers the things you tell him, and finds pleasure in making you smile. He doesn't see your needs as inconveniences. He sees meeting them as opportunities to express his love. He doesn't view your emotions as problems to solve. He sees them as important information about your inner world that he wants to understand. In this beautiful future, you feel free to be completely yourself. You don't have to hide parts of your personality or pretend to be someone you're not. Your quirks are endearing to him, not embarrassing. Your dreams are supported, not dismissed. Your growth is celebrated, not threatened. You can relax into being loved for who you actually are. The physical intimacy in this relationship feels loving and connected because it grows from emotional intimacy and mutual respect. There's no pressure to be anyone other than yourself, no performance required, no fear that your value depends on keeping him satisfied in any particular way. The connection feels natural and beautiful because it's based on genuine care and attraction. This partnership enhances the life you've already built, rather than requiring you to abandon it. Your friends, your interests, your goals all have a place in this relationship. You don't have to choose between love and the other things that matter to you, because he values the whole woman you are, including all the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. In difficult times, you can count on this person to be steady and supportive. When you're going through challenges, he doesn't disappear or minimize your struggles. When you need space to process, he gives it lovingly. When you need comfort, he offers it freely. You feel like a team facing life together rather than two people competing for who gets their needs met. The most beautiful part of this future is how at peace you feel. Love doesn't feel desperate or anxious or uncertain. It feels like coming home to yourself and sharing that home with someone who treasures it. You're not walking on eggshells or constantly worried about losing what you have. You're simply enjoying the beautiful connection you've created together. This future is not a fairy tale, sweet one. It's absolutely possible for you. It exists in the realm of real relationships between real people who have done the work to know their worth and choose love from that knowing. The man I've described exists, and he's looking for exactly what you have to offer. He's hoping to find a woman who knows her value, who can love herself well enough to share that love with him. Every step you take toward embracing your worth, every moment you choose to treat yourself with love, every time you honor your needs and feelings, you're moving closer to this beautiful future. You're becoming the woman who naturally attracts this kind of love. You're creating the energy that will draw him to you when the timing is right. The journey to this love begins with falling in love with yourself, and that journey starts right now, in this very moment. You don't have to wait until you feel completely confident or until you've healed every old wound. You can begin today to treat yourself as the precious, valuable, lovable woman you are. And as you do, everything in your life will begin to shift toward this beautiful possibility. Your worth was never in question, dear heart. It was never dependent on finding the perfect relationship or being chosen by someone else. Your worth is inherent, unchangeable, and absolutely true. The love you're seeking is simply a reflection of the love you already are. Trust in that truth, live from that truth, and watch as your whole world transforms to match the beauty that has always been yours. The most beautiful love story you'll ever be part of is the one between you and yourself. And when that love story is flourishing, it naturally creates space for someone else to join in the celebration of the magnificent woman you are. This is your time, sweet one. This is your moment to step fully into your worth and open your heart to all the love that's waiting for you.